years in the Oval Office may not be enough to save Jimmy Carter from the wrath of lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. The anger as Carter continues to meet with terrorists. Some people want every penny of taxpayer funding to the Carter Center cut off. Others want to actually revoke his passport. Now, Carter is meeting with them, saying there can be no peace unless all parties sit at a negotiating table with no preconditions. Apparently, he may be unaware of the preconditions already set by the people he's meeting with, Hamas, which is designated as a terrorist organization. Sue Myrick is the North Carolina Republican speaking out and leading the call to pull his passport. Thanks for being with us.
Sure.
You know, we have followed the story because our viewers of America's Pulse have been outraged by it, and the emails by the hundreds keep pouring in, and it is very lopsided. Is it actually possible to pull the passport of a former president?
Well, that's up to the Secretary of State, but frankly, I wanted to send a strong message because we have a policy in this country about Hamas, and he is just deliberately undermining that policy, and it's wrong. You know, Hamas has continually stood for terrorism against peace. And the State Department, the administration, Israel, all opposed him going over there to meet. And the international community has been trying to isolate Hamas so they would get a message. And, you know, he's just undermining all that.
Well, you know, when I listened to the former president give his reasoning for doing this, it kind of makes sense. You know, if you're going to come to any sort of decision, you've got to actually meet with people, even if they are your technical enemies. He says, but you've got to do that where there are no preconditions set.
Well,
yet,
you know,
it's easy to see Hamas has a lot of preconditions, and they don't look like they're backing off it. Do you think he's unaware of those?
Well, I don't know, but, you know, they will not renounce terrorism. You know, they won't recognize Israel. They won't agree to any of the agreements that were determined before regarding by the Palestinian Authority. And so, you know, those have been conditions that they've been asked to do. I mean, renounce terrorism? Come on.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's what's just kind of interesting about all this. You wonder, what he says is one thing, but has he listened to what Hamas has said and continues to say, even in an op-ed in the Washington Post today, filled with hate language, filled with preconditions. Have you ever experienced anything like this before? Any former president that has gone on someone else's watch to sort of do their own radical diplomacy?
I've never seen it before, and most presidents are respectful of the administration's standpoint, or they work with them on trying to work it out. You know, again, he's just unilaterally going off on his own and undermining everything the international community and the United States is trying to do, and I do not understand it, and most of the members of Congress, quite frankly, do not understand it.
Well, the Washington Post editorial board, on the opposite page of where the terrorist leader wrote his op-ed, they wrote that what Carter is doing is basically lending what is left of his prestige to an avowed terrorist organization such as the leader of this, or Hamas, in the Gaza.
It's a good way to put it. It really is a good way to put it, because he's legitimizing them when they shouldn't be legitimized. I mean, terrorism and the effects of terror we're experiencing all over the world. It's one of the most serious threats to our national security that exists.
Now, you said that, you know, in essence, what you really want to do is send a message with the idea that, you know, we might want to yank his passport. It seems unlikely that would happen. There is another movement underway to stop any kind of federal taxpayer funding for the Carter Center, and I believe it's received $19 million of our money over the past few years. Is that more likely?
Well, I think it's likely. Why should we support his center when he will not support his government?
Well, that's well put, I guess. We'll see. He, at this point, shows no sign of letting up, and continues to plan.
I guess he's still doing it now.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. Another meeting this morning. Representative Myrick, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.